Most people would think that being alone on a distant cosmic body would be peaceful. Being away from the trials and tribulations of Earth, everyday society, or being able to truly see the stars without any light pollution. Most would see it as true escapism, especially now, but I'm here to tell you that even though it truly is that at first, but often things are not what they seem. I live alone on the moon. While I may not be far away from Earth, I am far enough away that what happened to me could not be helped. I got this job because I had no attachments back on Earth. My wife had, well, she had just died. A young marriage with no kids, and I really had no debt to speak of. I was a nobody with a degree in engineering. I was approached with an encrypted memo about an opportunity to live rent-free on the moon. I thought it was a joke, but given I currently live here, it wasn't. I was told the job was pretty simple. I could not tell anybody I was there. I could tell nobody that they had already assembled a base on the moon itself. The job duty was one simple task: watch a monitor. The monitor in question was a 60-inch screen on the back of my small moon abode. It had some code and whatnot strewn about, but I was told that what I needed to do was ensure that it never said stasis interrupted. I was told that it may never do it, but if it did, I was to alert NASA and get in my evacuation pod. What is this stasis, you might ask? What is in there? Well, I asked the same thing. You see, my moon abode was attached to another module drilled into the ground. Above that drilled module was a housing building no bigger than my own. I had no access to it, and I had no idea what was inside of it. The only thing that I know was that it was found somewhere else on the moon and brought to this specific area. Whatever it was, I wasn't paid to ask questions. I just had to live my day to day, get paid to do essentially nothing. I was contracted for 10 years, and when those 10 years were up, I had made enough income to retire at the young age of 40. So of course, I said yes. But looking back, I may have been thinking with my grief and not my brain. I was shot to the moon one day, and the endless valleys of moon dust and the darkness of space was my new Yellowstone Park. Just one rather small building for me to live in and a smaller building nearby that I had to keep an eye on. Simple. They wanted a diary of sorts every year at the beginning and the end of that period. To make sure I wasn't losing my mind, of course. If nobody called after, I was in the clear. If I showed signs of, well, something else, a therapist would call me to work it out and offer a solution. After all, it's not like I could just get up and leave.
Diary 1. Arrival. Good morning, Earthlings. That's right, I can say that with my full chest. Well, all I have to say is things here on the great moon above are, well, they're great. I have no lawn to mow. I have no work to go to apart from looking at the big old monitor right here behind me. I mean, I have really nothing to complain about. You know, I brought my golf clubs with me, right? Okay, just hear me out. I bet you I could hit a ball all the way across the moon. Not in a full circle, but at least to the dark side of the moon that I couldn't get to. Other than that, there's no sun for a lot of the times because I'm locked inside of this capsule here. But when I do go walking out there, I can see it. It's not perpetual darkness. Sometimes I do miss my neighborhood, but I don't miss my neighbor with that stupid dog of hers. Janine, if you see this, I hate your dog. Okay, I'm glad I don't have to see that little thing. It's not even really a dog, cause it could fit in a blender. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Uh, Apart from everything being great here, there's no mechanical failures. There's no alarms going off. So, for a first year here on the great moon above, well, things are going pretty good. Nothing to complain about. Nothing to well, I do miss people sometimes. You know, trying to get things together in my mind about never really seeing another person for the next 10 years is it's a hard thing to swallow, but I think I can manage. I was never really too much of a people person before I left, but any hoodles. I am going to get to that golfing thing. So I will, I guess, speak to you next year. Bye bye.
The first year went off without a hitch. I did indeed play golf on the moon. My drive had actually gotten pretty good. There were moments of deep thought, but the idea of living in space far outshone my own insignificant problems or my grief. I often spent my days keeping busy. I would wake up in the early morning. Well, morning for me. Without a day or night cycle, I had to rely on the computer system to remind me it was morning. When I woke up early, I started off with a simple breakfast and I would go jogging. I would throw on my suit and laugh as I jogged with high jumps from the lower gravity. I often ended my nights with dinner and a movie. I had an impressive collection to choose from, which was often updated by NASA. Thankfully, I wasn't stuck watching the same Tom Hanks marathon every week. But as the second year rolled in, a sense of loneliness started to come over. I kept dreaming of my wife. I'm not sure why I could go a year without, but the loneliness was like a plague for me. Or at least, it was starting to be.
Diary entry for year 2. Hey there, Earthlings. This is my year 2 diary. Here to give you some updates of what's going on up here. Um, nothing's going wrong. I can tell you that, apart from not really getting much sleep. I well, I dreamt of my wife for the last couple months, just random scatterings of distant memories or seeing her face in my sleep. I don't know. I'm was having a little bit of trouble with it. Apart from thinking about what happened in those last few months, well, let's not get into that. But still no stasis interrupted. I well, it's easy, but it's also very hard up here. Um, I'm trying to think positive. I got, I'm still working out, still keeping busy. I'm really looking forward to, finding a new hobby. Uh, I was thinking of space vegetation, like in that Matt Damon movie. I know it's not possible, and I'm not a botanist. I'm an engineer, so I might actually break out the Legos and finally start getting into that. Well, anyway, well, I guess I will talk to you next year, Earthlings. I will see you then.
I admit that it was more of a downer entry, and not a day later, my therapist contacted me. Great. I often wished my diaries were private and kept to myself, but I guess there were some caveats to living on NASA's dime on a distant moon base.
Year 2 therapist conversation.
Your last diary entry was a wee bit concerning for us. I'm here to talk to you about that. How are you feeling?
Honestly, it was just a momentary lapse of um, admission. Some things you should keep to yourself.
There's nothing wrong with feeling this way, especially being without social contact for so long. It's all right to really reach out and talk about these things. What you're feeling is normal.
No, I mean, you're right. It's just, um, listen, I'm really okay. There's really nothing to worry about. I'm just, I'm trying to do this job and also put the pieces of my mind back together. You know, I'm, uh, I'm really trying to get through it, and well, honestly, there's nothing to worry about. Everything's great. It really is. It's just it's just the dreams of her face and the last months we spent together. But you already know all about that. But I, I'm I'm okay. I promise.
Brief is a hard thing, but if you ever feel this way again, you know how to reach me, alright? Alright, I will check in with you later.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. I will do just that.
A month passed on without incident. The sleep didn't get much better, but my productivity ended up getting more priority from me. I built a Lego Death Star that I had intended to put together for quite some time now. I spent all the money on the set, and yet all I could do was just look at it from afar. I often found myself doing the very same thing to the building next to me. Its windowless secrets called to me, but my self-control kept me from looking deeper into it. I often found myself walking circles around it when I was out for my morning jogs. There was nothing coming from it, only the feeling of vibrations on the surface, as if machinery was inside of it. The curiosity would probably get the better of me in the coming years, but at that point I didn't dare step over that boundary. But then a sneaky little thought started to creep into my brain. If I did peek inside, what could they do? Send me to space jail? I walked away from it this last time. The thought creeping into my mind again and lingering. I knew I wasn't going to. My entire life I was always thought of myself in a more grandeur, but in the end I just kept my head down and went about my day to day. You could have honestly walked right by me and you would have never noticed me.
Year 3 diary. It's year 3, Earthlings. If you can look here, I built the Lego Death Star that I brought with me from Earth. I bought it actually about, 5 years ago, and I just never put it together, even though I love putting things together. The sleep hasn't really gotten much better. The dreams haven't gotten much better, but I'm staying active. I'm doing a lot more productive stuff instead of just sitting here and wallowing in my own grief and loneliness. I guess I'm taking the advice of my therapist and trying to stay busy, even though there's not too much to do other than watch movies and.
What the hell? The knocking sent a fight or flight reflex down my spine. I closed up my diary to slowly get up. I crept close towards the airlock door, my fist clenched at my side. Had I imagined it? Was I starting to lose it up here? These thoughts were cut by the sound of a loud alarm.
Stasis interrupted. Evacuate. 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 Evacuate.
I silenced the monitor with a heavy breath leaving me. I couldn't understand the code, but there were alarm indicators going off at every angle of that building next to me. That much I could make out. That wasn't possible. I had just seen it this morning when I went out for my jog. Maybe it was just an error. They did tell me these things happened. Maybe it was a test and they were just trying to keep me on my toes. This line of thought was taken away by another loud knock on the airlock door. It was so forceful. How could somebody be knocking on my door without a suit? Was it a machine? Or was it? No, it had to be my imagination. I pulled on my suit and pulled open the airlock to answer my messenger. I gazed outside to see the endless hills of moon dust, stars, and darkness. I couldn't make anything out, but the rays of sun briefly cast over the surface, and I saw a figure, a shape, a man. He was just standing out there, maybe 200 meters away, looking at me. We both stared at one another until it started to walk towards me, and I immediately shut the airlock door and sunk to the floor. I don't normally panic or start dry heaving, but I did. Now I know it wasn't my imagination, but calling to tell NASA would reveal that I had not followed protocol. But how could I? My escape pod was literally right near where the figure was standing. I could wait. I couldn't tell, but maybe he did have a suit on and just needed oxygen. Yeah, that's right. I could just wait him out, but then guilt creeped in. What if it was someone like me over there, just living in a pod to keep an eye on me? Maybe this was some sort of social experiment by NASA. Yeah, that could be it. I went to my computer console and opened up a call to NASA to get some answers on what to do.
Recorded call to NASA from Moonpod 1. Hello? Is anybody there? Listen, I heard a knock on the airlock door. I opened it. There was a person standing out there. I need to know what is happening, what is going on, because the alarms are going off for stasis interrupted, and there's a person up here. What have you not been telling me?
You might just be imagining things. There is not another man out there. You need to get to your escape pod if this stasis interrupted. I'm not sure why you haven't done that already.
No, no. There is a person out there, and he banged on the... Did you just hear that? He just did it again. Okay? Listen. Listen, I know there is somebody out there. I am not alone on this moon. Okay? What is going on? I am fucking petrified. Please, I need you to tell me what is happening.
It is far too late. All right. This is what's going on. You were brought up there for a purpose, to keep an eye on, well, an experiment. Human experiment. We've been doing it for years, but we couldn't do it safely here on Earth. There would be too much collateral damage.
Human experiment. You telling me that there's a man out there that can breathe in space, and you locked him up here with me, and now he's violently banging on the door for like what? He wants to come inside for tea? He wants to watch the game? He wants to have dinner with me? He wants to screw me? What okay. Listen, okay, I'm okay. Listen, well, okay, all right, okay, here's what's gonna go on, okay? You need to tell me what I need to do at this point in time, okay? I don't know what that thing is. I don't know what you guys did. You know, at this point, all sense of curiosity is gone, okay? Now I'm in, needing to get to my escape pod, but every time I open the door, he's doing ding-dong DoorDash, and he's standing right by it. Is he dangerous? Is he going to hurt me? What do I do?
I'm sorry, but it is far too late. He is far too dangerous. If he's not letting you escape, you aren't have to weigh him out. But unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. He is absolutely dangerous. I'm sorry, but this is the last time we'll speak. I'm ending this call now. I'm sorry, but you need to escape, or there's nothing I can do.
Wait. No. Oh, no. Don't you hang up. Oh, my God.
The end of that call gave me a sense of hopelessness. Instead of getting it together and making a break for the pod, I just sat there on the floor. The stars and the silence of beauty could do nothing to erase my lack of hope. I thought about the last 3 months my wife was alive, watching her crumble in my hands and fade away to the dust of time. And the cosmos was something I couldn't control. If I could ask for one thing, it would be to reach out to the endless void of space and hear her voice just one more time. To ask her what to do, or if there was truly a world beyond ours when we die. Then my hope came back for just a fleeting moment. She told me that I would make it, that I would keep going, but I just had to keep myself together. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put on my suit and make a break for my pod. I stumbled a bit when I got up, my nerves racking my body. I could barely breathe, much less muster the strength I needed to get my suit on. When I opened the airlock, there he was. If I could speak in space, I would ask so many questions, but I didn't. I saw the small building where my escape pod was, and I sucked in a breath. I looked over at the older building right next to mine, and I saw that it was nothing but debris scattered about the lunar surface. I looked to the figure again, then to my pod. I let the thoughts of my wife carry me into a sprint. The gravity not helping, but the figure also sprinted towards me, the gravity not affecting him. The sense of fear increasing with every step, my blood going cold with shimmering anxiety. I then saw an object whip past my head. It was a massive boulder that barely just missed me. When I looked back, the dark figure was holding another boulder with superhuman strength, and he threw it at me with a force that defied gravity. I dropped to the ground to avoid it, and it crashed on the lunar surface so very close to me. Particles floated at a quick speed that threatened to break my visor. I started to breathe hard. My oxygen was depleting fast because I had not thought to refill it after my morning jog. The figure was getting closer now. He was coming for me. I pulled myself up and turned to face it. I wanted to look. If I was going to die, I wanted to see the face of the being that would do it. When it got a little closer, its features were non-existent. Just a shadow. A void of pure blackness with no detail. It was like he was a shadow figure emerging from the dark and into the light. I took this as my cue to run. I bolted towards my escape pod, but the figure didn't follow. It just stood there. When I got to my escape pod, I strapped in. It wanted me to do the startup protocol, but I said screw that and just hit the accelerator. It was difficult to control. I had only done it once in a simulation, but I managed to get it up off the lunar surface to start heading back to Earth. The autopilot kicked in as I breathed a sigh of relief. I could see the very distant shape of the Earth and my anxieties calmed. In just a couple days, I would be home. But then, I saw a red beam. 2 of them fly by my pod. It traveled faster than I have ever seen anything go. My pod alarms were ringing as I looked in the rear camera to see the beams were coming from the dark figure. His eyes. The beams traveled all the way to that distant shape of Earth, and then I saw nothing. It was gone. And I was speechless. The world was there for one moment, and the next it was everyone, everything. My communications to NASA disconnected. My GPS autopilot stopped. There was no longer a signal. Eventually, I just turned off the engine and just drifted. I thought I might start crying, especially as the figure jumped from the lunar surface and into the void of space to never be seen again. Instead, I started to laugh, but then I cried. Then I fell silent, drifting along the stars into a certain end, but an uncertain journey.
Well, this is my final diary, I guess. There's no home to go back to. It's gone. I'm no longer on the moon. I'm in this pod, escape pod, just going for a cruise. I remember me and my wife used to go on cruises all the time. We would just get in the car and drive. We would just drive for forever and listen to music, things like Billy Joel and something of that sort, I guess. I used to have this neighbor after she died that had this annoying dog. I remember talking about that, but I doubt anybody who's gonna find this is gonna know what I'm talking about. He used to bark all the time and try to bite me when I walked by, but honestly, I always told myself coming to the moon was my best escape for people. That I no longer had to think about people ever again, because I just always told myself that I didn't like people. But instead I realize now that I always stood outside to watch these people because they were my light. My neighborhood, the annoying dog, the guy who brought me my mail. The darkness was inside my home because I had nothing in there. I was lost. And now there's only darkness. There's no more light. The figure damaged my pod and I'm running out of oxygen really fast. Something hit me and I guess it's stranding out into space now. Whoever finds this, if you find this, if you can even understand my language, if you're an alien or whatever, I just want you to know that there's more than escapism in life, and I well, this is it for me. I'm uh, I'm a human being. I'm from a planet that no longer exists, but that's all right. I'm going out with the most beautiful view I could imagine. I guess this is it. If you find this, know that I at least tried to get back home.